What we have done up to now is assess the condition of a planet. Is the planet auspicious or inauspicious? What is the dignity of the planet? What is its state of awareness? Is it placed in an angle or trine, or is it placed in a Dusthana? And so after determining the condition of the planet, we can then proceed to figure out the specific areas that the planet rules, because those will be his agenda, right? The planet, during its dasha, will bring about the events that it has an agenda for. A dasha lord cannot do something that it hasn't an agenda for, right? And so a dasha lord has an agenda in various ways. As a karaka. So for example, Venus is the karaka of marriage, and so during its dasha, Venus can give marriage. As a chara karaka, let's say Mars is the dara karaka, and so Mars can give marriage during its dasha because it is the dara karaka. As a bhava cusp lord, so let's say Mars rules the 7th cusp, then it can give a spouse during its dasha. If it rules the 5th cusp, then it can give children during its dasha. As a Bhavat Bhavam cusp lord, we can also use the Bhavat Bhavam house, which literally means the house from the house. However, we can only use this concept in the relevant Varga. So let's say in the D7, the dasha lord rules the 9th house, which is the 5th from the 5th, then it can give children during its dasha as the 9th lord. However, we cannot use this concept in the D1, right? In the D1, the 9th house does not rule children. It's only the 5th house. Similarly, in the D7, the 1st house is the 7th from the 7th, and so it also indicates the spouse. But this concept, again, cannot be used in the D1. In the D1, the 1st house only rules the self. Now next, as a lord or Bhavat Bhavam lord of a Rashi as counted from a Karaka. So we not only consider the Karaka, but also the important house lord from the Karaka. So in the case of children, we can use Jupiter, and we can also use the 5th lord from Jupiter. And so in the D1, the 5th lord from Jupiter rules children. Now, if we want to use the Bhavat Bhavam house from Jupiter, then we can only do this in the D7, right? So in the D7, both the 5th and 9th lord from Jupiter rule children. As a lord or Bhavat Bhavam lord of a Rashi as counted from a Chara Karaka. So now we can also do the same for the Chara Karaka, right? We use the important house lord and Bhavat Bhavam house lord as counted from the Chara Karaka. As a lord or Bhavat Bhavam lord of a Rashi as counted from the Lagna. So in some occasions you will find that the full sign house becomes indicative of an event. And so then we can use the Rashi lord as counted from the Lagna. So let's say in the D7, events related to children, such as childbirth, can also be indicated by the 5th house as counted from the Lagna, and by the 9th house, which is the 5th from the 5th. But in most cases, you do not need to consider those full sign houses, right? In most cases, it is the house cusp that indicates the event. And finally, also as a dispositor of the above. So in all those cases, if a dasha lord rules any of them, it automatically requires their agenda. So let's say the dasha lord rules Venus, who is the karaka of marriage, then during its dasha, it can also give marriage. Or let's say it rules an important house cusp lord, right? So let's say the dasha lord rules the 7th lord, and then it can also give marriage. And so we can see that if a planet rules a lot of planets, then there will of course be a lot of different things happening during its dasha. And if a planet rules no planets and perhaps even no house cusps, then the dasha will be quite eventless, right? And the person will just focus on a few things during the dasha. Aside from what the planet rules, it can also get an agenda through what it influences. And so the dasha lord has an agenda as Jupiter or Mercury joining or aspecting a Rashi and its contents. Right? We know that Jupiter and Mercury not only manifest their own Rashis, but they also have the ability to manifest the Rashis that they join an aspect. And so the Rashis they join an aspect become additional agendas. As Saturn, Rahu, or Sun joining or aspecting a Rashi and its contents. So separative planets influence the Rashis they conjunct an aspect. And so they have an agenda with those Rashis, and those agendas bring challenges and conflicts and sometimes even severe hardships and losses. As the Moon, Venus, Mars, or Ketu joining or aspecting Rashi and its contents. So these planets also get an agenda through their influence. The waxing Moon and Venus increase the harmony and fulfillment of the Rashis they influence, and they do so to 25%. Mars is strong-willed and causes conflicts in the Rashis it influences. Ketu has an agenda of resolving and completing the Rashis it influences. And then we can also talk about the waning moon. The waning moon's agenda is that of diminishing fulfillment in the Rashis that it influences. And finally, as Rahu or Ketu, in which case they have the agenda of the Rashi and its content that they join or aspect. So Rahu and Ketu get the agenda from the Rashi they're in, and that includes the Rashi Lord, the Baba Cusp, and the planets they conjunct. They have additional agendas, through the Rashis that they aspect, which includes the Lord of the Rashi, the Baba Cusp, and the planets in those aspected Rashis. So all of this should just serve really as a reminder. We have extensively shown in the Varga course how to determine a planet's agenda and its ability to manifest or separate. And so if you need to refresh your memory, please watch the Varga course videos again. It is actually a fairly simple technique, but at the same time it's extremely powerful. And so once we have established what a planet rules and influences, we just need to look for the dasha when that planet gets activated and give its effects. And this is basically what we learn here in this course.